You have to be distraction.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon, Charles. Long time.
A long time.
You look fresh. I say your place.
We thank God I'm in Abuja now.
Oh,
Good afternoon, everybody.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Glad to see you all. Looks like we still have a couple of people yet to join us. Um, yeah, you can see Louisa. Has Josephine joined us?
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, MG. Thank you for the opportunity
How are you, madam?
to
Good to see you. Good to see you
project
again.
nutrition
And
knowledge. Thank you so
and
much.
thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Yeah. Has Josephine joined us? Hello, Louisa. Good afternoon. Is Louisa there?
Yes, I am. I'm waving.
Good afternoon. Good to see you.
Good afternoon.
Your video is not on.
It's on.
That's why
It's on.
It is? Well, I can't see you. Okay, now I can see you. Now I can see you.
You can see my hand.
Yes, I can. Good afternoon.
Good
Oh,
afternoon.
What about, I guess we're just waiting for
welcome.
Josephine.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Can't- We can't wait to we can't wait to hear from you guys. Thanks for joining us and on
thank
time.
You. Thank you so much.
It's just on now.
I doubt it. Trying to see.
Okay, I can see a picture. Looks like she's trying to join in. Hello, Josephine. Have you managed to join in?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Oh, wonderful. Good afternoon, everybody. I guess we can
wow.
We can just go ahead.
Josephine,
Good afternoon.
Looking bright.
Thank you, ma.
You look good.
Thank you, ma.
That's a nice one. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you all to the Protein Challenge Webinar Series 7, which is the last in the series for this year. I'm excited that we've done this very successfully over the past few months. We'll see what the new year looks like. But I thank you for coming on this afternoon. I look forward to a very illuminating and exciting session. For the benefit of those who are not aware, this is one of the execution pillars for a campaign, a protein pool campaign that we're currently running in Nigeria. The whole idea is to draw attention to the challenge of protein deficiency in Nigeria, while at the same time positioning soybeans as the most cost-effective solution to the problem. We have a series of activities. This webinar is just one of them. And the campaign will continue in the new year in many other dimensions. But this webinar, I think, has been pretty useful in engaging stakeholders on some of the issues. Today, we're looking at how soybeans can be important in helping to deal with the problem of protein deficiency. I'm not going to take much of your time because my job is just to make the introductory remarks. I hand over now to Lisa, who will be coordinating this webinar to take proceedings. Louisa, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. J.E. As usual, it's an honor to be here again today. So good afternoon, distinguished panelists, esteemed and valuable participants, and of course, the organizers, and welcome to the Protein Challenge Webinar Series 7 under the theme, Nigeria's Protein Deficiency Challenge, Soybeans to the Rescue. As like he said, as a follow-up on the last time, I learned a whole lot, and that has left us wondering what next? How can we retrace our steps, and look inwards to explore all of the homegrown solutions in the quest to tackle the rising incidence of protein deficiency? And of course, we have lined up of speakers today to take us through that. I want to just give us some ground rules. As always, the hashtag for the conversation is hashtag Protein Challenge. You can join us on our various social media platforms. Tweet out there, drop out punchy comments from our panelists, and let the conversation go beyond just virtually, and for the rest of the world to understand why we are here. Also, feel free to use the comment section to drop in your questions and comment suggestions, and of course, so that we can take them when the time is right. Without wasting much of our time, we also want to urge everyone to mute their audio. You just have the opportunity to unmute when you want to speak to us, so we don't have some sort of distortions in the course of the program. And that being said, our very first on the agenda is the keynote address by Professor Ibiyemi Olayiwola. That will take us about 20 minutes. Professor Ibiyemi Olaiwola is a professor of human nutrition in the Nutrition and Dietetics Department, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria. Professor Olaiwola has contributed extensively to human nutrition through articles in reputable academic journals of professional bodies on foods, nutrition, and dietetics. She has more than 70 publications to her credit. She is a member of a number of professional nutrition bodies, including the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, NSN, American Nutrition Society, ASN, and International Union of Nutrition Sciences. She is involved with the application of nutrition and dietetics for community development, gender, poverty alleviation, and capacity building. Our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, participants, please join me to make welcome Professor Ibiyemi Olaiwola for her keynote address. Ma'am, you have 20 minutes to do this. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Korani. I'm very grateful. And I want to quickly appreciate Media Crafts Associates for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge in nutrition. I believe we're going to have a very nice discussion. My work is very small. I hope you can see my screen. You can see my slide.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It's on.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to remind us of the importance of protein in the body. So when we know the importance, we can know that our coming together is not for fun. We need protein for a lot of things to support growth for our children, for bodybuilding, repairs, and replacement of lost tissues, and then to be able to have enough means to boost the immune system and support metabolism as well as to provide energy. Okay, and we can see from the next screen that nutrients and protein need at the beginning of life. I would like to pause a little here because a lot of people don't even know that they start their life with protein. If they know life begins with protein and the first 1,000 lives of their time, then we have to know that it is very important. It becomes something that even the government, everybody, all hands must be on this to make sure that the protein requirements and adequacy goes around all age groups. But unfortunately, we look at protein as just one of those nutrients in the body and think it's just one of those. Let me finish. But today I want to remind Nigerians that we begin our life with protein. In view of time, I'm not going to give us the difference.
Professor, I guess the network issue is disturbing a bit, but we hope that she gets back and join in the conversation. For ease, I would advise that maybe we could just
me by this.
Okay.
But deficient, even with a pregnant woman, their child died with protein. Can you see me?
Professor, you got broken a bit there. You might just want to,
Okay, I can
take a few steps backward. Yeah. All right, go ahead now. You're okay. Your network was trying to play some pranks, but we're good now. Go ahead.
Okay, so as I was saying, no age group is spared. As a result of this, whether you are a child, an adolescent, an adult, an elderly, there may be protein deficiency if your protein intake is not adequate. in good quality and quantity. It's not like other nutrients where you think, oh, if I don't take it, the body has a way of managing. No. So as much as possible, we have to look into how our protein intake. And from the next slide, we can see that even the lactating mothers, apart from the pregnant women, the lactating mothers may have poor protein intake, if for protein of at least 54%. And inadequate protein at this stage can even lead to the baby's nutritional status. We talk of low birth weight babies. Low birth weight babies are babies that are born below the weight in which they should start their life. And all this has to do with poor protein intake. Next slide, please. The recommendation of protein is for any age group should be at least 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight. And that is safe and adequate enough to meet anybody's requirements. All experts, both internationally and locally, agreed on this recommendation. Next slide, please. And then where protein is not sufficient, what happens? There is malnutrition. For children, for vulnerable groups, there could be wasting, there could be stunting and underweight. And apart from all that, there could be
Hello, ma'am, are you there?
Within the hands and the legs. A lot of times, many people may not even be able to recognize genes. You discover that that child, bring that child up. Okay, you can see this child. This child is an evidence base that protein deficiency is not an idea that is just a gene, or some people are just coming together just to come and tell us something because they have money, they are going on the internet. Protein deficiency is a serious problem. Protein deficiency is not something that we can even, if we can't keep talking from now till thy kingdom come, we will still need to put our hands on that and keep working to make sure that it does not destroy us. This child, you can see there is edema, the hair, the skin is rough. You can see the legs and hands are swollen. In those days, we refer to them as a child with kwashiorkor. That is, energy is deficient and protein deficient. And recently, we have all agreed to be calling them, well, moderate malnutrition, because a lot of things are deficient. So many amino acids, micronutrients are deficient, and the energy is not good enough. And you can see that these children can be treated. We are going to, later in my discussion, you will see a few pictures where some children have been treated with cell-based, ready to use therapeutic food. The next slide, because of time. Okay, now some of these, we may say, oh, in those days, we don't have them again. We went into the prevalence. What's the prevalence of undernutrition? Whether especially due to protein deficiency, stunting, underweight, or wasting. Between 2003 and 2018, we saw that undernutrition among under 5 children are still in existence in Nigeria. And with this campaign, if we continue and every hands on deck, we can end protein deficiency in Nigeria. You can see that stunting is at the highest. Between 2003 and 2018, the difference is not even up to 10%. And when we look at underweight, between 2003 and 2018, 20 years, what exactly as a country, as a community, as a state, as a zone, there should be something done to create some changes. The changes are not too significant. Even statistically, the changes are not significant. I'm angry, and nutritionists are not happy with what we are seeing for 20 years. For us to still be talking about protein deficiency, to be talking about stunting, underweight and wasting, there is need for us to rethink and do the needful. The prevalence in the last 20 years need a serious change. We need to move forward. Not only children, we can see what is happening among the women. Children and their mothers. The mothers are underweight, which should not be. Because when you see a woman that is not thriving properly, what do you expect? And these are mothers that are in their age-bearing group between 15 and 49 years. We don't expect as a country in 2020 to see how even 1% of undernutrition among this age group. The reason is because the understanding and the knowledge of protein intake is yet to get across the country. Next slide. Now, when going through some of the problems that we have in Nigeria, and then protein, as part of the indicator for the minimum acceptable diet, legume must be included. And when we look at the minimum dietary diversity and the prevalence of children that are having access to the minimum, we are talking about the minimum, whether soya milk, soybean, or legume is being added into their diet, we discover that only the highest of them, 25%, are in compliance. And then when it comes to whatever food any child is taking under 5, at least what is the minimum of the meal frequency, which is supposed to be 5 times in a day, because they are children, they are supposed to be eating at short frequency. Only 44, it's not up to 45% that are in compliance. And the most breaking heart of them, the minimum acceptable diet, in which case we expect a mother to have at least 5 groups containing the energy food, the vegetable, the fruits, and then the legumes, the beans, or soya milk, or soybean, from whatever source or whatever type of soybean products or legumes. Only 11% are in compliance. And this is very, very serious. This is a very serious problem. We can see again that we need to work seriously and move forward as far as our nutritional status in Nigeria is concerned. Why do we single out soybeans? Why soybeans? We can look at the slide and say, oh, the nutrient composition of soybean seed. It contains carbohydrates and the protein is very high, more than 30%, higher than some other plant proteins. At the same time, even higher than animal sources, apart from egg, is higher than virtually, even it's higher than that of beef. Then we have that the fat content is the good healthy type, is cholesterol free, and very it can support all age groups. The water content is very low to support preservation. And then the calcium, iron, potassium, and sodium are good in such a way that whatever products you are making from soya beans, you can train your child from the as under 5. Once a child get used to taking soya beans, will be able to stand and improve along the way. Looking at the amino acid profile of soy meal compared to canola meal, which is very popular, is an imported and international meal, you see that there's virtually no difference. And what you will notice with the amino acid, at the time I wrote an article on the fact that soybeans supply the best amino acid in terms of what we refer to as amino acids that are indispensable. That is the type of amino acid that your body cannot manufacture. It must be taken. For example, the arginine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, they are essential, tryptophan, they are essential amino acids that must be eaten in the diet. Once it is not in the diet, there will be problem of health, there can be problem of malnutrition, that the growth, bodybuilding, and all the functions that protein is supposed to do in the body may likely be affected. The next slide. Protein quality of soybeans. Still on the fact that we are picking out soybeans, it's not a waste of time today. Biological value of soybeans is such that it's not something that we can just overlook, because it is higher than most of that of plants and other animal sources. It is the various, whichever type of soybeans, 74% biological value for the protein, even the whole of the soybeans contains 96%. So with the soybean milk, you find out that it has 91% of 91% biological value. The net protein utilization. What do we mean by net protein utilization? What we mean by that is the fact that when you consume a particular food, how much of it is being utilized within your body system. And then, because it is what is utilized and metabolized that the body can make use of. So there's some type of protein that you just eat there, and then it has no value within your body system. But soybeans, it's not like that. The net protein utilization, for example, soy flour is 36%. And that is why we are encouraging a lot of Nigerians, no matter your status, keep soy flour in your kitchen. Let there be soy flour somewhere. You can use it as sauce. You can use it as composite. You can mix. There are many researches we have done. We have mixed soy flour with even rice. Many Nigerians are so crazy about rice now that they think if they don't eat rice, there is no way they can have a satisfaction with their food. And we discovered that even with this type of soy milk and their soy
Prof, are you there? A little bit of network issues there. We hope to join Professor Ibiyemi as she wraps up her keynote. While that is going on, we want to urge that questions keep coming. We've started seeing one or two. You can just use the question and answers section to drop your questions. Professor, are you there? Prof, can you hear us? All right, it seems we have a little bit of network issues with Professor IBME there. She was almost wrapping up with her presentation. She still has about 2 minutes to go while we wait for her to reconnect. I appreciate those that have started sending their messages already. Please use the Q&A section to drop your questions. You might want to direct it to any of the speakers or the panelists as we'll take it when the time comes. Professor, you back?
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, let me just round up to say that I want all Nigerians to be soil-centered as we are in the festive mood, as we are giving gifts to people. Give something soil, something that has soybean products into the handbags, so that at least we can also campaign in our own little way, join the campaign of reducing and removing protein deficiency. I wish everyone a prosperous new year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Ibiyemi Olaiwola, for that fantastic one there. Like I always do, I would have loved just to give you a virtual applause, a thumbs up for that wonderful one. You actually utilized the 20 minutes. I know questions will be coming up. I like your parting notes. I mean, if you're giving out gifts this Christmas, why not just include something that has to do with soybeans in it? Maybe we'll be thinking about that as the time go by. Just a little bit of recap of what Professor was talking about. She started out with the importance of protein in the body and that life begins with protein. Yes, most of us might not really know that. And that the recommendation of protein is about 0.8 grams per body weight. Now I know, I never knew that. And of course, where we have protein not sufficient, it can lead to a whole lot of deficiency in the body. That picture of the young child with swollen legs, who would know that, I mean, not taking the right amount of protein can lead to that. And that's why I want to applaud this protein challenge. As we listen to all of this, we go out there and ensure that we take this challenge to our homes and of course, take more of the right requirements of protein in the body. Thank you very much, Professor, for that fantastic one.
Okay.
You might want to, you might want to mute yourself so we can all introduce the panelist session now. We'll be having other panelists joining the discussion. In no particular order, Mrs. Josephine Chukwuwike is a certified nutritionist and an entrepreneur. She is passionate about nutrition, especially among children and adolescents. She is a food technologist and an associate member of the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, NSN. Josephine has had years of experience in community nutrition and preventive health. She is passionate about nutrition and food education. Currently, she's the head of administration of One Diva Foundation, an NGO that teaches and empowers women of all ages to be the best they can be in their society and the world at large. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Mrs. Josephine Chukwuwike as one of our panelists. Welcome, ma'am, and of course, we'll be hearing from you very soon. Quickly, next is Mr. Charles Nkwala, is a community nutritionist with specialty in nutrition education, a lecturer and a PhD candidate in the Department of Human Nutrition and Dietetics, Michael Okpa University of Agriculture, Umudike, Abia State, Nigeria. He is a certified lead auditor in food safety management systems and has expertise in food and nutrition data analysis and management. Charles has been involved in several community nutrition programs and researches aimed at promoting exclusive breastfeeding of infants, appropriate complementary feeding practice for young children, and household dietary diversity using locally available foods in Nigeria. He worked with Grameen Foundation USA in the development and pre-testing of mobile nutrition messages in Nigeria in their M-Health project. Mr. Charles is a member of the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, Nutrition Society UK, and Nigeria Institute of Food Science and Technology, and serves in several committees at the university, state, and national levels. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to make welcome Mr. Charles Nkwala as one of our panelists today. You're welcome, sir. All right, let's delve quickly into the discussion. Having listened to Professor Ibiyemi, I'd want you to make your opening statement. You have 5 minutes each before we kickstart, go delve into the question and answer sessions, as we have for our panelists. Mr. Charles or Ms. Josephine, ladies first, right? We're a gentleman, so let's allow Mrs. Josephine to take the table. Go ahead, ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you, Prof. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and the members of staff of MediaCraft Associates and every other person in this webinar this afternoon. I hope I'm audible enough. Thank you, Prof, for doing a very beautiful job with introducing the topic of today and giving us the importance of protein in our bodies as human beings, and also the very important role that soybean plays to meet the needs of protein in our diets. Okay, a lot of things you've said, I would have repeated them again, but for time's sake, I'll just start from telling us those who are at risk. Like I'll always say, women and children, especially women of the reproductive age, are usually at risk when there is malnutrition generally. And now talking about protein deficiency, it's very important that we look at children, especially those under the age of 5, because most times the effects of these children's growth is due to their meals and their way of life and meals more than their genetical makeup. So between the ages of 0 and 5, what you feed your child goes a long way to tell how the child will do in life. So if a child is going to be stunted, going to be brilliant, or going to be dull academically, it has to do with 0 to 5 years, and even from the first 1,000 days of life. So from conception, that's why I talk about women and of reproductive age. So usually a woman doesn't even know when she's pregnant. So from pregnancy, the first trimester, maybe the first few weeks, she may not know she's pregnant. And that is why every woman who is looking to have children or who is, of course, sexually active should look at her intake of the important nutrients in the body, macro and micronutrients, of course. So children from conception, developmental errors could go on, or whatever it is, due to poor nutrition on the part of the mother. Now, after birth, we talk about explicit breastfeeding and the importance of the human milk, which is the best food you can give a child between the ages of 0 to 6 months, solely breast milk, and then after 6 months, you introduce other foods gradually. So women, infants, children, and well, sometimes adolescents could be at risk of protein deficiency, and which could be detrimental to their health and development. Okay, soybean is originated from Asia and widely grown and produced in Japan. And the common name is large bean, yellow bean, golden bean. Some people call it miracle bean, and some people call it soya bean. So we're saying the same thing. Nigeria is the largest producer of soybean in sub-Saharan Africa, followed by South Africa. And now in Nigeria, soybean is produced in the north, mostly in the northern part of the country. And funnily enough, looking at how beautiful soybean is, we still see that there's a whole lot of malnutrition issues coming from that side of the country, even protein energy malnutrition. So it's not just enough to have expanse of land and to have soybean grown. It is important that we are able to preserve this soybean, process it in a way that people can consume, and educate them on the importance of soybean and, of course, of protein and other nutrients that soybean gives to the body. And soybean is not just important to the human diet, it's also important to animal farmers who feed their animals with the byproducts from soybean. Okay, worldwide consumption of soybean is nearly 11 million tons. Africa consumes about 618,000 tons annually and uses another 4,800 tons for animal feed. So Nigeria is the largest consumer of soybeans in sub-Saharan Africa, like I said. Consumer, yes, and then followed by Uganda. But then I want to ask the question, the soybean we consume, is it all produced in Nigeria, or do we still import soybean? I think we would brainstorm on that as we move on. Soybean consists of more than 36% protein, arguably between 36 and 40% protein, 30% carbohydrate, and excellent amount of dietary fiber, vitamins, and minerals. It also consists of 20% oil, which makes it the most important crop for producing edible oil. So we know soy oil, there's some commercial oils in Nigeria that purely soybean oil. Well, for some reason, some people don't like those kind of oil because they say, oh, it has a kind of smell that, is not palatable to them and whatever. But when it comes to health, we should look beyond palatability sometimes and look at what we stand to gain. Okay. Soybean products, I will just mention some soybean products and that we can make locally or just at home. We can make soy meal from soybean, soy milk, pardon me, soy milk. I made soy milk some months ago in my house, and funnily enough, I discovered that after extracting the milk, the cake that was remaining, I added it to some flour, which I was using to make chin chin for the house. And it was like soy chin chin. And it had a beautiful outcome. It wasn't very, very crunchy, like hard crunchy, but it was very tasty. And I know it was nutritious because I didn't have to just waste away the soy cake that was left of. Tofu, some people replace meat with tofu. And of course, because of the way soybean is, tofu is comparable to actually to animal protein like meat and eggs. Soybean oil, let's say thing that is used by the food production companies to make biscuits and all of that is also from soybean. And then soybean meal, I said that before, for animals. The fatted soybean flours. I want to suggest, part of my recommendations, that the government can look at inculcating soybean flours that have been defatted, of course, into the production of staples like bread. We know that our bread is made from wheat flour, and wheat is still imported in Nigeria. It's not grown in Nigeria. And then the government has said that we should add cassava flour. So everyone making bread is supposed to add a percentage of cassava flour. I think at the point of producing the wheat flour or so, if they can also include that soybean should be added, I think you will be helping a lot with the protein consumption of soybean.
All right, we're going to come into you. A whole lot of stuff there. I know you have it all prepared. Some of this information you're going to still dish out during the panelist discussion. But let's hear Charles's take on this. Of course, you made mention of the fact that Nigeria is one of the highest producers of soybeans. And you also asked the very pertinent question: do we still import, the finished products? We have this very penchant for doing all of this stuff. We have oil here, then we import petroleum products. So sad. But we're going to come into that. Let's listen to Charles's take. You have 5 minutes to give us your own general overview. Charles, thank you.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm a community nutritionist, and nutrition educator, so I'm going to talk from that perspective. And one thing we have to understand is that people don't eat protein, people don't eat vitamins, people don't eat minerals. You can't go to the market and say, please, I want to buy protein. You can't go and say, I want to buy iron. People eat food. People eat food, and food is not just about the nutrients. Food is still about a cultural acceptability. So from that perspective, we will see that soybean is a food and is a rich source of protein, which means that when people eat soybean, they have opportunity of taking high level of protein. Now, with my experience in community engagement, I look at it that the only way we can get people to eat the right food is, one, by letting them know the advantages of these foods. Second, we must make these foods available and culturally acceptable. Because when I look at most of the foods around, you see that the foods that have been taking dominance are foods that people have accepted, people have been engaged in. And this acceptability is a little bit in one way that it's not just about the culture in the sense of your origin. It's about the way this food is promoted. It's about the way this food is processed. It's about the way this food is packaged and presented. So you find out that for us to improve the nutritional status of people, we must engage them from the food approach. Prof presented and said about the minimum dietary diversity, very low, 23%, which tells you that people are not diversifying their meals more, especially with respect to foods given to children. We need to eat more because that's the spice of life. Variety is the spice of life. The more variety you take, the more you are able to have all the nutrients. So, what is my own take here? We need to increase the availability of soybean. We need to create more products from soybean that are acceptable to people. For instance, I've not seen noodles. You know, noodle is a success story in Nigeria because it came in and it took everybody from the kid to the adult. So if we can package our foods in such a way that one is okay, is acceptable. Now, this last aspect I want to look at is encouraging people to produce locally. We must still put into consideration the challenges of soybean as a crop on its own. How to cook, how to process, the beanie flavor, which Josephine has mentioned, and also the food safety concept of microbial contamination and the anti-nutrients that are inherent in soybean. So what do we really need to do? There needs to be more research. We need to produce more food. We need to produce more recipes that actually use soybean. When we produce this, then we now have the last aspect, the community nutrition education, where we try to improve their knowledge, we improve their attitude, acceptability of this product. And then we have to improve their skill, how to use it, how to store it, even how to process it at the final consumption level. So I have to keep it here so that we'll have time to discuss on more other things. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can see some panelists agreeing with you already that it has to be 100% about the issue of acceptability. I mean, you can hardly go into any house without seeing rice somewhere. I mean, essentially, the only food we have in Nigeria is rice, beans, yam, you know. But like you said, it starts from promoting, processing very well, packaging it, and then, of course, going to educate people. This is part of education we're doing here. And I hope that it doesn't just stop here. We start thinking outside the box and looking at, you know, create products out of soybeans, like Mr. Charles said. Thank you very much, Charles, for that fantastic introduction. Now let's come back. We all have all the panelists now together to brainstorm on, you know, some of the issues that has been raised. I'm going to start with you, Professor Ibiyemi. Are you there? Now, we've spoken on the importance. Yes, we just have to reiterate this. We have to keep hammering on this. I want to start off with you. Why is soybeans very important? And what sets it apart from other plant-based proteins?
Yes, like I showed you, the importance of soybean is a lot. The biological value is making it uh, to become very important, especially now that we need to keep our resources. The little money we have to eat, we should not use it to eat junk. I hear a lot of people saying they will just be taking junk. No, money is very scarce now. And so the little we have, we should use it in such a way that we can get the best out of it. So I'm advocating that we make use of food with high quality protein. When it comes to protein, we should, and soya beans has proved its efficiency, the protein efficiency ratio, the net protein utilization, the overall biological value in supporting the body system. I believe when we have soy flour, even no matter how small, some people may say, oh, they don't have enough money. That soybeans is more expensive than the others. The little that you are able to get and process and have little soy flour in the house, you can diversify into different products, into sauce, into milk, into composite flour to make pastry, and you will see the effect on children. My experience as a, even well before, as a young lecturer has shown me. I've taken a lab attendant to the lab before, showed her how she keeps her uh, flour in the house. She came back after 3 months to tell me that none of her children visit hospital again. And the pictures, I have other evidence based, I have other evidence based pictures to give you examples how soybean has supported growth, And apart from that, we have seen examples. I've been able to support even a diabetic patient with soy flour. Say whatever it is, it will reduce even the carbohydrate, the exposure to heavy carbohydrates. Because the fellow loves to take a lot of amala. And I said, don't worry, you will still take your amala. But mix soy flour with your yam flour, and before anybody knows what is going on, he gained all the lost weight without any medical problem any longer. We have so many examples, so many researches are still going on in many hospitals. We are backing them up in such a way that was why I said this title you brought today, the Nigerian Protein Deficiency Challenge and Soybean the Rescue, it's not anything we can start talking in 1 hour
1 hour.
on the internet. It's a whole lot of work.
Well, I hope we will be able to at least make a headway with the little time we have. Talking about that, I have a whole lot of questions. I'm just going to delve into what the attendees have been sending. An anonymous attendee is asking, what's the best way to give soybeans to an infant and as a complementary food? And of course, I want to add to that, can we start giving it to children that tender? The nutritionist can take that question for us.
Okay, yes, you can give children soybean as a complementary food in combination with other legumes and grains. For example, there's this meal they call Tom Brown. Tom Brown consists of a little of soybean, a little of maize, a little of crayfish, composite like that. So usually you add it's made dry, it's toasted, or let's say dried, roasted, oven dried, and then dehulled and blended. So it's blended dry that way. So you can make it and give to your infant. Usually mothers are advised not to give the child alone, because if you give the baby alone, like that mixture made like pap, sometimes the babies might purge. Some mothers complain that they purge. So you add a little maize, that's maize pap, which is a bit fermented. Yes, when you add that powder to it, you make it like when you make your normal pap. So it increases the nutritional value of that pap instead of giving plain pap, which we are advised against. So when it's toasted and dried like that, the flour, the dry one, it can be added with crayfish and other grains dry, then to pap. So you can give them from 6 months and above in little quantity. So you can observe whether your child loves it or not. If your child doesn't love it, you can just stop. Especially when children show allergy at that early stage. Some of them do.
All right. Thank you very much. I hope that answers the question. And then talking about some people have myth or misconception about soybeans. Kikelomo Amorolua is asking, what is the significance of the anti-nutritional factor in soybean?
Hello.
She's asking, what is the significance of the anti-nutritional factor in soybean?
Okay. The anti-nutritional factors, there are a lot has happened. What do we mean by anti? That is, there are factors that are not nutrients, and they may not allow the nutrients to work properly in the body system. For example, the iron content, and so some other minerals may be affected by the lactic acid. But what we should do, like we have been saying every time, was the fact that like Charles said, when it comes to food, a lot are inside it. It's just that you say you want to take yam and you are not going to peel it. So with soybean, remove the seed coat. By the time you do that, even the anti-nutritional factors we discover over the years with the experiments is not more than 3, is about 1 to 3%. So are we going to now throw away all the nutrients and the values of soybeans because of the 3% that we don't need? And even who told you that we don't need it? There are so many functional properties. There are some of these anti-nutritional, some of these phytic acid and saponin and all of them have in the health system. Lecithin, for example, has been proved to be helpful in the overall health of most age groups. So what we are saying is, once you remove the seed coat, you go ahead and start processing into whatever form you want it. Low cost bean soil, soy milk, pastry, mixture with cereals, mixture with especially wheat. We should not depend so much on the quality of wheat flour cannot be compared to what you get from soy flour. So these are some of the things that we need to push more. We need to really put all this information into different languages. I keep saying it. Nigerians must hear us so we can reduce the number of people with protein deficiency in
All
our
right.
communities.
And I
Thank
want to add
you
something
very
to
much,
that.
Prof. Now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
want to add something to that. Yeah. And when we talk about these anti-nutritional factors, they are not really poisons that are from the way people look at it. The issue is all about the quantity. If the quantity is so much, it competes with other things. These are things that God naturally created in these crops that they live with. But why we want to eat it, we must bring them to the level that they will not compete with the beneficial aspect. So like Prof said, when you process it, just with minimal processing, you reduce so much of these anti-nutrients. But the knowledge must still be there for people to understand that you need to process this and you need to process it in such a way that will make it beneficial to you rather than just eating it just because we say it's soy bean. So I think that there is need for us to increase our consumption, but this consumption definitely must be packaged in such a way that we get the benefit from that.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, on that. So still on you, Mr. Charles, you talked about how packaging, processing, and all of that is key. What sort of collaboration would you think is required to boost access to soybeans and its derivatives across Nigeria?
Yeah, there's need to be a very broad collaboration. Now, I'm not an advocate or I'm not passionate about leaving everything to government. Government, as when you look at the causes of malnutrition, you see that government plays a significant role at the basic cause. But when you come to the underlying causes and the immediate causes, you find out that at the household level and at individual level, there's need for so much key playing. Now, I've not seen much from the NGOs in terms of collaborating to improve this knowledge. What you're doing today is very wonderful, and I was very much impressed with it. But we still need to have so much collaboration with the industries. Industries and research institutes and tertiary institutions need to collaborate because whatever you say, when the varieties, when the recipes are developed, when the processing methods are standardized, it makes people have easier access to that. And it helps people to have a knowledge of how to do it. The other engagement is on the community nutrition approach. You need to educate people, and government may not do this alone. We need people, nutritionists, food scientists, health workers need to incorporate this message that people need to eat soybean products in order to improve their protein intake. So there's so much collaboration there, but we should not leave everything to government. Civil societies, NGOs, the institutes, the industries, we need collaboration there to make sure that we produce and package these foods in a very sustainable and preferable way. And maybe I should add culturally acceptable.
Culture. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles, for that. And still on packaging, I want to come back to Mrs. Josephine now. Chiamaka Goodness Chukwu is asking, please, what is the best processing techniques for the production of soybean flour that is safe, being that soybean has many, of course, they talked about the anti-nutrients that can even inhibit the absorption of these nutrients. You might want to educate them more on that. And you might add it side by side. You spoke about how you can give it to a child, and certain Kikelomo Merulua is asking, what if a child is allergic to it? You know, you spoke about how you can give it to a child. What if the child is allergic to that? What happens? What's the alternative?
Okay, thank you very much. Like we said earlier, the anti-nutrients are there naturally, and then they are there in most legumes. And like Prof rightly said, they are on the seed coat. So for the seed coat, For the flour, you don't need the seed coat. You can toast it. When I mean toast it, you can dry it and take off the seed coat. Some people soak overnight when they want to make other products, and that soaking overnight already makes the water soluble anti-nutrients to go off. So when you just rinse it off, it becomes fermented, and then you lose more of the phytates and tannins and all of that. So yes, when you apply heat, and unfortunately we don't cook soybean like where we eat normal beans, like with oil and everything, and so it's not interesting. But when you apply heat, you are able to, the soybean, you can still retain its nutrients, but you do away with most of the anti-nutrients. So when you apply heat and you toast it, like you're going to make the tumbler I talked about for your child, for example, you are able to now dehusk, remove the bran, the outer one, and then you can use the bean for what you want to use it for. And then for your children, some children are even allergic to groundnuts, nuts, and all of that. So when you are trying out new food with your child, just be observant. Usually, we advise that you try food singly instead of in combination. And if you realize that your child is allergic to soybean, please stop the soybean and give something else. There are other nutritional foods, of course, that will give protein. There are other, plant proteins that you can still give your child, like beans. There are other local proteins that we have in our different tropical zones. So you don't have to give soybean by all means because it's so great. If the child is not accepting it, please don't force the child. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Someone just asked, can you take soybeans without the husking? And two, another method of preservation apart from refrigeration, because some people think or that it goes bad easily. You might want to address that, Prof or anybody?
I think it depends. It depends on what it is. It depends on what it is you're refrigerating. Is it the milk? Is it the flour? If you keep in airtight containers, milk, soy powder like that, the dry form will not get spoiled if you put in airtight containers. If it's soy milk, because of the nature, even though we have to boil a little, you refrigerate. Of course, if you leave it on the table like that, it will ferment and all of that. So you may not want to take it in the fermented form. But it depends on the nature. If it's liquid like soy milk, please do refrigerate. But if it's powder, of course, with flour, of course, you can keep in airtight containers away from weevils and all, and it will be very, very okay.
All right. Nemeka Okereke said something that multi-sectoral approach is key in getting soybean to the end users. And I remembered Mrs. Josephine talking about how in the northern parts of the country, we have a whole lot. And it seems that even the whole malnutrition stuff we're talking about is more prevalent there. What are we not doing right? What should we do? How can we harness all of these things that we have in large quantity to ensure that it comes back to help us live a healthy life?
I want to state that from the questions that are coming in during this section, you find out that people are in need of knowledge. That is the major issue. If people get the right information, definitely they will go for it. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to be malnourished. You'll find out that people that produce food products now end up being the ones that are more malnourished on the same product that have the nutrients. So we should understand that we are not doing much to get information to people on these products. And that is why you see so much nutrition transition is a big terminology. What it actually means is that people going for some junk foods, like Prof called it, and leaving some healthy foods, because there is a social stigma to eating these healthy foods as if they are just useless. But you now look at the unhealthy foods as the foods that are very useful, the foods that show your status. And people will always want to identify with a higher status. So the rebranding and repackaging of these locally available foods, these foods such as soybean, is very necessary. That people need to now understand that it is not a poor man's food. Rather, it's a food for somebody that wants to get healthy, that wants to get wealthy. So that is the major area we have to go in to make sure that people get this. And let me still point out at the last question. People should understand that foods that are very rich in nutrients are prone to spoiling easily, because microorganisms are still interested in this food because of their nutrients. So we should have that concept that soybean is very rich. Micronutrients want it. That means that you have to compete with the micronutrients by preserving it, processing it in a form, and consuming it when it should be consumed. So this is what I would like to put in there. So we need more nutrition education. We need more packaging. When I say packaging, it's not the packaging of a finished product. It's the branding of these food products as not being for the poor people, but rather a food that will help you improve your health and your wealth.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. And truth be told, the last soy oil that was done from that from soybean wasn't that cheap. It was really expensive. So I don't think it's for the poor people. But just for knowledge again, how expensive is this miracle seed? I'm reading a comment from a certain participant saying that he's a player in the soy value chain, and so many Nigerians do not know anything about the miracle seed. He calls it a miracle seed and has many profitable opportunities that lies in the soy processing. Can you enlighten us? So at least, even if you do not eat, you know that yes, you can go into this, but of course, consuming it is key. While you're consuming, you're helping yourself, and you're also making money in using it to do other things. Please give us some sort of education. Prof, you might want to come in there.
Hello?
Prof, are you there?
Yes.
Educate us on the many opportunities there in soy processing.
Oh, a lot. Once we all agree to increase the campaign for intake of soybeans, then first of all, the production, the producers will join us, the farmers will join us, the food processors will also join us, and then people who are looking for one thing or the other to do. It can reduce unemployment. If somebody decide that, oh, whatever soybeans I'm able to get, I'll be turning it into the soy flour, somebody else will take it from there. The value chain is a lot, and the utilization in the animal feed, in the human consumption, even the commercial use of in the pharmacological industries and so many areas. So depending on how individuals really want to come in, we can all push along to make sure that we have, because so many products can be formulated. There is no end to the recipe when it comes to soybeans. From the moment you have the flour, then I advocate that it can be safe for any age group.
Interesting.
Once it is decoated, once the seed coat is removed, it can be safe for any age group.
Okay, talking about decoding it, I know these terminologies, we're still trying to learn that. So, Chika Oji is saying, please, can you kindly talk on the phytic acid in soybeans? Should I just fry the soybeans or should I soak overnight before processing?
You could, to remove the seed coat, it may not be overnight, it could be for 6 hours. It could be for 6 hours, and then after that. And at times, some people still want to even roast a little, depending on the flavor, depending on really what you want. Some may just want to roast and give it some color, like when we want to ferment too. You may not even need to soak. You may roast. After cleaning, you roast, and then you process into fermentation, and then you have your soy locust bean. There are so many ways in which we can use it. I think that is rather cumbersome for this type of discussion.
All right, Ms. Josie wanted to say something.
No, Prof already said it. I was going to say soaking does it for us. Soaking takes care of fighting.
Now, Mr. Charles, Kikelamo Amorilu is saying that advocacy is key to get people aware of the benefits. And also Nemeka is saying that He stays in the community in Niger State that produces a lot of soybeans, but they know next to nothing about its uses. Would you say that the average Nigerian understand the benefits of soybeans? And how can we improve upon that if that's not the case?
First of all, you have to know that knowledge doesn't necessarily translate to behavior change.
Hmm.
Knowledge is an aspect of behavior change. Behavior change has to go through the whole process. One, you talk about the knowledge itself, you talk about the attitude towards the product, and you still talk about the skill, ability to process it in a way that is adequate. So there is need for that advocacy. There is need for high advocacy, but the advocacy we look at is not just sitting
Hello,
down
Charles,
and
can you
be,
speak out?
hello, can you hear me? Can
Yes,
you
I
hear
can hear you.
me? Okay, so the advocacy we are talking about is not necessarily just churning out whole lot of information. People need to be guided on how to get this product done. People need to be guided on the benefit with respect to their health. Because if they don't understand the benefits, because in everything we do in life, there is this unconscious cost-benefit ratio. If the cost of carrying out a behavior is more than the benefit, people won't go for it. If people look at it that it's more complex or tedious in processing soybean than what they get for it, they won't go for it. If people look at it that it's not safe taking soybean, they won't go for it. So there is need for us to get them to know the benefit is more than the cost. And when they get to that level, they will automatically adopt the behavior. And that is very necessary. And let me point out the person that said in Niger State, yes, we are human beings and everybody knows it. A prophet is not known in his own location. So the product you have in your location is actually the product that is most ignored. Why you go for a product that is in another location. So this is the reason why education, using the right social and behavior change communication strategies, need to come in there to have an effective behavior change through nutrition education.
Now let's come now to Ms. Josephine. How can we generate conversation in public space? Because sometimes, a few people, nutritionists here and there might understand this, but taking it to the open and ensuring that it is embraced, the same way we embrace rice and the rest that are becoming like the normal food today. How can we generate conversation in the public space around the benefits of soybeans?
Okay, thank you. We still have to go back to the media grassroots and media general. Just like the COVID-19, everybody was talking about wearing of nose masks, using the hand sanitizer, wash your hand often. Even little children ages 3 to 5 could say that during the lockdown, and even now people still say it. Even though that people have relaxed from that, but COVID-19 is still very much around. So the media are doing a lot of work, or should do a lot of work helping us with this. And then collaboration. You see, I need to see more collaboration between the farmers, the food scientists, the nutritionists, the food processors, and the academicians, people like back in the university doing research. A lot of projects are done by students year in, year out, discoveries, even publications, but you see that it all ends there. There's no physical implementation of this knowledge sometimes, and it's like it's a waste. Why would you do a research, spend so much money, PhD, or maybe a new product development, and you don't take it out to the market at the end of the day, or because there's no sponsorship or nobody to collaborate with you to push it out? That's in terms of food companies. So this is where we have to work hand in hand. Yes, the government has a part to play. We nutritionists have a part to play. Food technologists and product development have a part to play. The students, lecturers have a part to play. So this webinar is, of course, one of the ways through which we give the information back to general public. This is what is happening. This is how much you need soybean. This is the issue of protein deficiency and all of that. So we are doing our own quota here, but it's not enough. I'm not sure we're up to 5,000 people on this Zoom meeting this afternoon, and there are millions and millions of Nigerians. So in our little corners, we must take this back. And of course, from where it is grown, we need to begin to tell the farmers, okay, this thing you are growing and you are selling, do you know that if you process it, you make more money? Do you know that this? And then after telling them, empower them and monitor them that they're actually doing it the right way and pushing it out. So it's a lot of collaboration. And unfortunately, sometimes politics have come to play. Somebody wants to take the glory for the idea or for the this or that, and that is why things don't go so far. So if we look at the big picture, to kill malnutrition in Nigeria, let's help the children under 5, let's help the vulnerable groups, the elderly, women of productive age. We would look at collaborating more and setting aside who has the idea, who brought the money, or who didn't do this, and then push it out more. So more campaigns on social media for the youth, and then back home, the villages, the mothers there, can we empower more people? Can we send people to the farmers, the agri-economists and extensionists? Can we ask them to help us tell these people? Can the government release more funds to help farmers that are actually doing this thing and training to do better? So that's how we can actually help the situation.
I just wanted to add, so just aside even providing funds, also protect these farmers so they can also go out there and cultivate these things that will be beneficial for the whole.
Farmers. Of course, because a lot of farmers were killed recently in the north, and of course, that's a big loss.
All right, let's move on now. Chioma Ogbe is saying something, and he wants some sort of, the organizers to tell us to help boost awareness for products that are high in soybeans. That she actually developed a product that contains corn, millet, soybeans, and groundnuts, and that I have beautifully packaged, but I'm still working on NAFDAC certification. Sometimes a few people that know all of these things might also have this bottleneck in ensuring that it comes to the market. How would you help someone like Chioma?
Hello?
All right, Charles, go ahead.
That's actually a major challenge in Nigeria because most times, like Josephine said, some things are very politicized. But for us to get it across, one is the market. Now, the market is the consumers' demand. If the consumers have better acceptance of the product, Chioma will sell because her product will be on high demand. But even if she produces a wonderful product and people do not know the benefit of this product, the product should be discouraged. So I still look at it that in our collaborative effort, we should still look at this as a business. When you look at things as a business that has a profit engaged in it, you see people coming into the product. Now, when the production from farmers is high, the supply will be high in the market, and then you now find out that people will see all these things in the market. Those that are manufacturers like Josephine, we have a better opportunity of developing different products. But if the consumer is not in demand of this product, they will just go down. But if the demand is there, it is a business, it is a market. Nigeria has population, it's one of our strengths all over the world. And we must use this population as an advantage by increasing demand. And the increase in demand is making sure that people know the benefit and accept the product. When that is done, the rest will be smooth for anybody going into that business.
All right, let's move on now. We have Chinaza Okeke. She's asking, is soybean still advisable for the elderly? And again, I want to take a 2-in-1. Nemeka Okereke is also asking, as a clinician, I would like to know if there is any soybean formulation out there apart from the ones made in community medicine departments, specifically adapted for nutritional deficiencies like kwashiorkor. Anyone can take that question. Let's start with the elderly. There's this myth that is not good for the elderly.
Excuse, can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. The legumes generally has been promoted for elderly to the extent that we tell the elderly to be legume centered, and soybean as one of the legumes. An elderly can put uh, soybeans at the center of the dish and add other food groups, because at that stage, at the elderly stage, a lot of non-communicable diseases may have been coming up, like high blood pressure, diabetics, and where care is not taken, they may become malnourished. Silently, some have protein deficiency without their knowledge. They may start to lose weight. So where they can take time to consciously make sure that they take beans, like I've been advocating beans for life, beans for longevity. They take beans, at least of any type, of any product, of any kind, at least once in a day, it will go a long way in the healthy living. And for the elderly food pyramid,
Mm.
we have been advocating that uh, fruit, vegetable, legumes should always be higher than all the other food groups like spices, salt, sugars, where they have taken over years and they have ended up with one problem of malnutrition or the other. So as far as we are concerned, we have been advocating that elderly should go on legumes more, because it is the type of food that they may not even, they can take, you can take beans without much salt, without much sugar, and you can easily in the morning as breakfast in any form, as yeah, in the southwest, akara, moi moi,
Mm, mm, mm.
along with the series. Pap, it has helped to prolong life, and it's because of the high fiber content and the constipation problem. Because
Mm.
at the elderly stage, the stomach is reduced. So, but some of these legumes can be taken in small quantities. Small
All right.
quantities can fill their stomach up.
All right.
As a result of that, life will be prolonged, and you can join me to sing Beans for Life.
Yeah, right. All right. Maybe Josephine can take the question from the clinician that if there are any other soybeans formulation out there apart from the ones that they know in the medicine department. Josephine, can you hear
Um,
me?
yes, please.
All right.
I wouldn't know much about
Oh,
clinical
okay.
use of soybean in that
I hope they are helping me.
soybean formulations
Take my room.
because
Uh,
that's not my
all right.
area.
All right. Okay.
That's
Let's
all.
quickly also move. Uh, Someone is talking about processing. As fantastic as this seed is, sometimes processing might be an issue. And a certain attendee is saying, what standardized quantity can you give as harmful or safe to the layman? Which method of processing in the local setting can be used to produce safe soy flour, since most of them don't have good technology to produce safe, consumable soy flour?
Yes, once you are able to soak, then you can remove the seed coat and then dry. It can be dried at home.
All
The
right.
type of drying should not be at the floor, because you may not be able to see some other insects that may be animals that may be passing by. So the
Mm.
dry should not be at the ground floor. So they should use uh, drying at the upper level, and then depending on the area, once it is dry, they should make before by the time they are soaking, before soaking they can be cleaned, you can remove stones, but by the time you soak, this will also remove all the stones. And in the village setting, you can use calabash to remove any other stone, especially the small ones, the ones that we use to remove stones from the rice.
Mm.
So these are some of the areas that we encourage. Other than say you don't want to take soybean because of the processing, you can still process at home in our villages, and then you make sure and then at times you can roast. After cleaning, you roast. When you
Okay.
roast, the seed coat can be removed, and then the grinding into flour may be much easier.
All right, we're pressed with time now. I want us to go into all of the policy direction. Olubayo Abiodu has quite a number of interesting questions here that is will deal with the national policy direction. He's asking, what is the national policy direction on soybeans in Nigeria vis-a-vis the now botched national policy on cassava? Remember Josephine talking about how we're all excited with the whole cassava thingy and how it generated initial hype and how eventually it fizzled out from our national psyche. Given its numerous socioeconomic and health benefits, what role is the National Local Content Agency playing to help show up more participation and development of the product for both local and international market value chains?
Well, let me take that. One thing we have to understand is that government makes policies based on people's need and based on what the trend is going. Now, cassava policy came up when there was this profit-oriented ideology that came into cassava, that it can be used for several things. It has a very large market value and a value chain. That is the reason that led to coming into cassava policies. Now, the same thing we are trying to draw here. If we establish that, if it's established that soybean have the same value chain, soybean have the same profitability, soybean have the same health impact as like being a very good product, it will draw the government into looking at making it as a policy. Now, Josephine talked about incorporation of soybean into bread. Yes, that can come in when there is this advocacy, which NGOs can push for advocacy. They can advocate for soybean to be made a national priority. There are folks that are competing in interest, but there must be that advocacy. There must be that pushing to make sure that this is beneficial to people. It can now be pushed to that level. If it is not profitable, there is nothing somebody will look at it. If it's not, the concept is that it's not profitable, it's not marketable, it's not healthy, no government will have an interest in that. So anybody wishing to go into the soybean value chain need to draw that advocacy. The media is there, the social media is there. If we create the level of knowledge and awareness, definitely government will be listening.
Hmm. All right, I'm going to take a two-in-one question because we have to wrap up in less than 5 minutes. Talking about government, Justin will be taking this because sometimes they want to look at the economic benefit. How does the rising incidence of protein deficiency impact the economy? Maybe speaking in that light, the government will listen more and maybe just bring up some sort of legislation. And again, Emmanuel Bello is asking, please, I would like to ask, in clinical management of patients diagnosed with renal diseases, does soybean still apply to the rescue of meeting the protein requirements of such patients? If not, what other plant protein sources apply here? Let's start with the economy, how it's, and then we'll come back to the for the patient.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. The the truth is, we need to look at things holistically. We need to look at things holistically. You don't talk about the economy just without talking about people, human beings that build up the economy. So protein deficiency affects the economy because it affects the people who are to build up the economy. Now, when someone is malnourished, it doesn't, in nutrition, we don't look at malnutrition. When I'm talking about malnutrition, I mean undernutrition now. We don't look at undernutrition just at the level of hunger or just not having enough or diseases. We look at it as affecting the productivity of people. So, like I said earlier, a child, or look at our children between the ages of 0 to 5, if they are malnourished or protein deficient, they will not develop properly, they would not have proper cognitive development, and on the long run, it affects the youths, the number of youths we have because of mortality. We have fewer youths, fewer children, and the workforce is reduced. And of course, the output is poorer. So the economy is affected on the long run because you must be healthy and your right frame of mind, rightly developed to think and to move a nation forward by your productive lifestyle and businesses within the country. So if we do not pay attention to hunger, both healing hunger, protein energy malnutrition in children and the vulnerable groups, we would reduce, we would have fewer people who are healthy and able to work to grow the economy. That's for that part. Now, for the second part, sorry, he's asking about what again? Let me not mix it up.
If it could affect people with
Okay, yeah.
certain ailments.
Renal, yes,
Renal
people with
diseases.
renal diseases are not even supposed to take a lot of protein food because of urea and fluid retention. So dietitians, clinical nutritionists are there to give proper diet, which will be low in sodium and all every other nutrients that will build up urea and urine and give strength to the kidney. So yes, so a soybean may not be okay as good as soybean is. I know we praise soybeans since the morning. It may not be the answer to everything. Okay, yes, and we still need to look at diet. There are some patients that need to be managed with low protein or no protein at all. So in this case, it comes to play. So as wonderful as it is, it may not be the best for that patient at that time. And of course, I believe that clinicians managing such a patient will know how to write acceptable foods which will go down well with the person's stage of renal failure. Thank you.
All right.
Please let me add something there. We encourage, if an individual have moved away from the normal health to having a particular problem, it is not a one size fits all. You need to meet a dietitian to look at your peculiar case and advise you on the appropriate thing to do. So it's not a one size fits all that everybody within the situation. There may be underlying issues. So our advice is, if you have a peculiar nutrition related problem, go and meet a dietitian. Most hospitals have dietitians. Some are practicing privately. Meet a dietitian to look at your underlying case and your peculiar case and advise you appropriately.
Thank you very much. I think we could go on and on and on. A whole lot of questions keep coming, but I want to believe that some questions were duplicated. That's why we just had to match them. We apologize if we couldn't take yours. I want to believe that the organizers will get through to all and, of course, send out maybe some sort of communique at the end of the day, covering all what we discussed here today. To me, I'd say health, they say, is wealth, and eating healthy doesn't really need to take a fortune. We can look inwards, look out for homegrown solutions right here in our country, Nigeria, and eat right. All of the statistics, some of them really damning. We have to look into it and ensure that we keep talking about this, talk more social media engagement, collaboration with government officials, and all of that. We keep talking about this. At this point, I want to appreciate the organizers for putting this together, Mediacraft. You're doing a fantastic job. It's the seventh in a series, and I got to, of course, joining this a second here, and I'm having a whole lot of fun and understanding these things. And like you said, education, it now goes back to the lifestyle. Let us merge all of this together and spread the message. Do not forget, it's Protein Challenge NG on social media. You can always slide into their DM, ask questions, get clarification, and of course, profile solutions to the protein deficiency that we're experiencing in the country. So that we'll not be talking about deficiency in another 1 or 2 years. We're talking about moving to the next level. And of course, educating everybody, all and sundry, on the need to eat healthily. That's the much we can take at this point before we get yanked off. Appreciation to all of the panelists. Thank you very much, Professor Ibiyemi. Charles, you did a fantastic job. Ms. Josephine, thank you very much. And of course, to Mr. J.E., we're hailing you from wherever you are. Louisa Olani is my name. It's been a pleasure moderating this session. And by the grace of God, we look forward to more of these sessions and more enlightenment. For now, have a fantastic day and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
So remember to give out soy products
as
in
Christmas
this new year.
Yes,
as hand pack. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.